is Alex with Stone Industry Insider. The three things that I like to talk about here at Stone Industry Insider are insights, tools, and software. And today we're going to cover some software, specifically Stone Pricing Pro by Limestone Capital Software. This software helps stone companies of all types quickly price jobs and track whether they win or lose jobs in order to identify trends and improve. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm the founder of Limestone Capital Software. We'll take a look through the software here in a minute. So why use this software? It has a couple advantages over QuickBooks or a point of sale system. It is a purpose-built quoting system that lets you identify every cost associated with a job so nothing gets left out. It allows owners to delegate pricing with confidence, set up pricing in settings, and then let a more junior employee build out an estimate. Then you can review it, make sure everything is correct before it goes out to a customer. With your pricing set in the settings, there's no more guesstimating. It will also track jobs that you win versus jobs you don't win in order to analyze trends and see where you can improve as a business. Limestone Capital Software has a pretty simple premise. The stone industry is small, and traditional costs associated with developing software are high. So our industry has either been overlooked entirely or shoehorned into one-size-fits-all solutions that don't really fit our needs. We use cutting-edge tools in order to bring the development cost way down, whether for a product like Stone Pricing Pro or software that we develop exclusively for your business. Everyone in the stone industry understands the importance of having the right tool for the job. Sure, you can use the butt end of a screwdriver as a hammer, but I bet you'd rather have a hammer. I believe that stone industry professionals also need a tech toolbox with the right tools they need to get the job done. Limestone Capital Software is committed to building the right tools for your toolbox. Now, let's check out Stone Pricing Pro by Limestone Capital Software. Okay, here we are in Stone Pricing Pro. Let's go through, check it out, and put together a new estimate. So the way the work flows in here, we start a new estimate, then we go on to the Materials tab, Processes, one-time charges, things like shipping, delivery, installation, etc. Then a summary where we can review and edit, a post-estimate area where we can look at past bids and track, see if they've won or lost, and a projects file where we can save a project, come back, work on it later. Customers tab is not functional yet, but that's where we will be setting up QuickBooks Online integration. Help also needs to be set up, and settings. And settings is where I'm going to get started, because that's how you can start to see how this program works. So we'll go into settings, and the first thing it's going to ask you for is your business type. And that applies a couple recommended settings just based on what you're doing. For our purposes today, we're going to go with Rockyard/landscaping, and this allows you to set up default pricing a couple different ways. So we'll select that. Shipment number field, this is for multiple shipments going to the same location. We're going to go ahead and disable that. Square footage field, again, we'll go ahead and disable that. Parts without processes warning. This shows a warning card when you add a process, or I'm sorry, when you add a part that doesn't have any machine or labor processes assigned to it. Again, for our purposes today, we will turn that off. We can set our default profit margin. Access levels and permissions. This is where, when this is live, you'll be able to delegate to certain members of your team and assign them to different roles. Okay, so that's general settings. Now let's go into materials. We've got a couple preloaded here, but we'll take a look at what adding one looks like. Okay, so let's say we've got, I'm not really an aggregate guy, so I don't know the specifics, but let's go ahead and throw in gravel. And no grade, no color, display, it's going to display as gravel. Now we're going to price this per cubic yard, and I think an approximately Let's say $45 per cubic yard. And then we click Add Stone option. So you can see this limestone standard buff is priced at $250 per cubic foot. Same with the limestone standard gray is priced at $225 per cubic foot right there. Gravel that we just entered is priced per cubic yard at $45 per cubic yard. And the waste factor, we can change this as well. This allows for spillage, overage, breakage, stone that's destroyed as it's cut, things like that. So may take some tracking on your end to dial in on what that appropriate waste factor is, but basically it's a way to add that cost into your bid. So for our purposes here for gravel, let's go ahead and edit that, and we'll knock that waste factor back. We'll say you keep great track of your gravel and you got a waste factor of 5%. Save changes, great. Okay. Now let's take a look at processes. And there are a couple different types of processes we've got in here. So we've got a couple preloaded, working on having your stone on a CNC, and that bills out at $125 an hour. Sawing it bills at $100 an hour. And then labor processes, packing, hand carving, and you can see the associated rates there. So we can add, let's say you got a planer in your shop, and we'll add that as a machine process, default rate an hour. Let's say that's 100 an hour, same as your sawing. Great, and we can add it right there. And sorry, now let's look at labor processes. So we got packaging, we got hand carving. Let's say inspection. And let's make that same as packaging. Okay, $50 an hour for inspection. Okay, and then that shows up here as a labor process. Now, one of the interesting things we can do is, let's say, okay, we have a planer, but we know that everything that goes on the planer has to get sawed first, then goes on the planer, then goes for inspection, and then goes for packaging. Great. So what we can do there, rather than building out 4 different steps every single time you pick planer, we can create a custom workflow. So let's call this planer complete process. Okay, and the first step, we'll go sawing, and we will add another machine process, add the planer, then add a labor process of inspection, and then add a labor process of packaging. Okay, so anytime something goes on the planer, we saw it first, plane it, inspect it, pack it. So how do we price that? We can do a simple average of all the step rates, so that comes out to $75 an hour right here. We can do a weighted average. Let's say we know that the bulk of the time here is taken up by the planer, and sawing is relatively quick, inspection's really quick, and packaging takes a little bit of time. So we can say, okay, 60% of it's planing time, let's say 15% is sawing, 15% is packaging, and that leaves us 10% left for inspection. Okay, and then you can see we work out the math on that, and that works out to $87.50 an hour. Or simply, we can just add a custom rate. For our purposes here, I'm going to create a custom workflow with that weighted average, create custom workflow. Okay. Charges. Now, charges are one-off things like a delivery fee or something that doesn't apply to every single piece of stone, but something that applies to a project as a whole. So let's set up delivery as one. So delivery, okay, we'll add that as a category. And then within that, we can go to templates and say delivery local. And let's say we charge a flat $100 for local delivery. That's a subcategory of delivery. Add template. And let's say we charge $250 for regional delivery. Delivery regional. And we charge $250 for that. Again, another subcategory of delivery. Add template. Okay. So we've got a couple charges added in here. We make up another one. I've heard of people charging for parking tickets, just leaving an allowance in the job for parking tickets when you do a job. So sure, why not? Parking tickets, add, let's say templates, parking tickets for a 1-week job. And we're going to budget that we get, I don't know, 2 parking tickets for $100 each. So $200, and then we add that to the parking tickets that we're budgeting for. Okay. Integrations, this is coming later. The goal is to be able to move an estimate from here to QuickBooks Online with a couple clicks rather than having to duplicate data entry. So that's coming. Data is just for trial purposes, so this probably will not be on the final process or on the final software when it's ready to release. Okay, so now that we've set up set everything up, let's go to Home and let's start a new estimate. And let's say test 1. Create a project. Okay, you can pick one of our types of stone. Let's pick that. So this job, let's say, for anything with cubic feet, like our standard limestone buff that we had in our settings, it requires a drawing number. So we'll call this drawing 1, 2, 3. And there are 3 pieces of it. Cubic feet per piece, let's say 2.5. Waste factor, 10% is the default. We know from experience that's a little low. We would like it to be 10%, but in reality, we end up wasting a little more stone than that. So let's put in 30, and we will add this material to our project. Okay. Now we can add, and let's say we're providing a couple pieces of standard buff, and we're also going to be delivering some gravel with this. And gravel, let's say we're doing 3 cubic yards. Great, and that adds that on here as well. Okay. Now we continue to our processes. And gravel, since it doesn't have a drawing number, doesn't have any processes attached to it. But this limestone, we're going to do a little bit to that. We are going to take that through our planer complete workflow. And that's going to take us, let's say, 2 hours and 15 minutes per piece. We'll add that to our workflow, and that puts on that cost per piece and that total cost for the project. Okay. Charges. This is a one-time charge that applies to the whole thing. Let's apply a local delivery to this. Okay, $100 for a local delivery. Continue to summary. Now, on the summary, we can click through and edit each part. So, turns out let's say somebody fat-fingered this limestone standard buff. It's not actually 3 pieces. It's really supposed to be 5 pieces. Okay. Click Save, and that updates right in line here. So we've got 5 pieces now instead of the 3 that we were showing. Updates our pricing, updates our total. So now we've got our total charges per piece of material, processes for the machine and the labor out of our custom workflow, and we get our final price with profit. So from here, we can do a couple things. We can view reports, see where our costs are in this project. We can take a look and see how are we allocating our machine hours in this project. How are we allocating our labor? And a detailed report showing our costs, showing our machine and labor breakdowns, and we can export this as a CSV to Excel if we want to play with it further. Okay, but for now we'll go back to the summary, and we can export this as a PDF proposal or export this as a PDF more for internal use. So let's take a look at the proposal. Opens up here, and there we go. Again, in the final version, this should have your logo, and you should have the ability to customize this. This is just kind of a sample for now, but that one click to generate a proposal. Okay, so we'll exit out of that. We can even go back and add more items if we need to. Let's say we forgot there's a piece of standard gray, drawing number 456, one piece, 5 cubic feet. We know the waste factor is big. It's 30%, just like our standard buff. Add that. Continue to processes. And this limestone gray, this gray limestone has no processes added to it. So we'll go ahead and let's say all we need to do to this one is we need to put it on the CNC for a 3-hour program. Add that. And then we need to package it once it's done, and that'll take another hour. Add that. And then we can go back to the summary. And you can see it here in the summary. So this is on drawing 1, 2, 3. That's what we had. And then drawing 4, 5, 6, what we just added. And again, we can go through, we can edit the machine processes. Oh, I put in 3 hours per piece. Let's say we don't like that. Let's say it's actually going to be closer to 3.5 hours per piece. Great, and we can update it right in line there. Okay, now we can double check. Okay, we've got everything here. We're all good. Approve estimate and send to post estimate tracking. Oh, can't do that yet, apparently. Okay, so here it is. Here it is in our projects. Post estimate. When we move it here, we can track: is it still open pending? Did we win? Did we lose? And then we can eventually get to a point where the program will analyze: what are we losing? What are the common threads? How can we improve in order to put more here in the win column? So thanks for coming along with me. Hope you enjoyed. Please reach out with questions. We're close to rolling out version 1 of Stone Pricing Pro by Limestone Capital Software. There are a couple advancements that I would like to work on in the future once this gets up and running. First, I'd like to see it integrate with QuickBooks Online so that you can pull quotes seamlessly from Stone Pricing Pro into your existing accounting software. I also want to add AI-backed analysis of previously quoted jobs so you can identify trends and see where you can improve as a business to win more jobs. Further down the road, we are working to allow users to pull parts directly from a PDF supplied by an architect into a form for quoting. Something else we should add? Let me know in the comments. Interested in buying? Go to limestonecapitalsoftware.com and sign up for our email list. We'll send you a notification when Stone Pricing Pro is ready to go live. I'll also give you a discount code as a thank you for signing up for our notifications. Like this video and want to see more? Subscribe to this channel. Got thoughts? Leave them in the comments. To learn more, please visit limestonecapitalsoftware.com or go to stoneindustryyinsider.com, where you can sign up for all of the relevant mailing lists, including the one for Limestone Capital Software. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.